Welcome to Desi Return Diaries, Embracing Home Again, the podcast that shares personal journeys and expert insights on returning to India. I'm your host, Avinash Pedi, here to guide and inspire you on your Desi return journey. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Desi Return. Today we have Shravan and Tejasvi on our show. Shravan and Tejasvi have lived in US for almost close to 9.5 years and decided to move back to India. I'm really excited to talk to their journey about what triggered and how they transitioned in India. So looking forward to the show. With that, welcome Shravan and Tejasvi today.
Thank you, Avinash.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you for having us today.
Great. So let's get started with a little bit of your background. So maybe you can talk a little bit about your academic professional background, what made you to move to US, and also the trigger points that triggered the decision to move back to India. And that would be a good start.
I'll go first. Okay. 2008 graduate based out of Hyderabad. I studied in Vasavi College of Engineering. So I worked in India for about 3.5 years. Not a great time, to be honest, because 2008 was a year of recession, one of the deepest or lowest points in the market at that time. So that was my trigger, to be honest. So my 3.5 years were not so great. And I really wanted to change my career path because I was kind of backward in where I was back in the time. So I thought changing it, doing masters and just changing my gears would help me. So that was my trigger point back then.
So I graduated from CBIT in 2010, again based out of Hyderabad completely. I was working with Cognizant for pretty much 3 years from 2010 to 2013. And again, so I went to college, not for computer science or IT, but I went for biotechnology. So when I got placed on campus, I joined my job with Cognizant. So I always felt out of place, and I felt a master's degree would really help me to get into shape with regards to an IT industry. So that's the reason I went in 2013 August to do my master's, and then life just happened.
Yeah.
Great.
To be honest, it was not like I have to do masters to get a master's degree, but it was all about getting to a different place where I could just change my career course. And of course, who would not be excited to do masters in a different country, especially USA? So I'm no special in that regards.
Great. So both of you went for your masters, and after that, I think you have worked there for a few years. And what is the motivation or the trigger points to move back to India?
I believe coming back to India was always on the cards. The very first conversation me and Shravan had, it was the thing, like he asked, like, I always want to go back to India. Do you want to come, or do you want to reside here? I'm like, no, I'm not the one who want to reside back. I just want to come back too. So that was like first thing. So it was always on the cards.
So one of the trigger points was, okay, so this is also a thing where we should keep in and be motivated that this is a temporary stay, because you would feel much more safe at home than here. We are here temporarily. So it just planted into our brains even more deeper. So, right, I'm using these words because it's not a political conversation, but it's just two common people who face that little pain.
Yeah.
So the second trigger came when the COVID happened to all of us. I know, such terrible times, right? So it happened to us in 2020. So we were having a baby. I was pregnant. We were going to have a baby and all that. So we were planning our life at that point. We were asking so many questions, like how we were expecting a bad recession like 2008, to be honest. So we thought one of us might be losing a job, and then we were like, how many months can we survive? We asked all these important questions to ourselves. We were discussing finances, and we said we can survive for 6 months with our savings, and then one of us will find a job and all that. So when we asked all of those questions, it definitely made us think that what is actually stopping us, like in this foreign country, we can live. We are confident of living without, when we both of us lose the jobs. then also we could actually live. We have that confidence. Then what is just holding us from going back to India and starting a life there, right? That was like a big, huge moment for us. And also there were so many uncertainties at that point in 2020, and I think it is definitely my pregnancy hormones that I was just thinking way too much. And what if something happens to parents and I don't even want to use those words. What if I don't get a chance to even look at them? If something terrible happens, I want to be there for them. I want them to be there for me. All these thoughts just came naturally to us.
Yeah. And in continuation of it, I also told to Teja, these were literally my words. Okay, I think we are speaking the right conversations, and on to sum it up, I don't want to die here. That's not what I signed up for. Right. So let's make a decision. Anyways, we are discussing so honestly, so openly. I think we are at that point. So why don't we start thinking in that direction, right? So from there on, our every walk, every evening walk, a morning walk, afternoon walk was just full of those conversations that we were sooner or sooner getting towards a decision. One fine day, within a few days from there, we just declared to our best friends that we are thinking to move, and we're looking at 6 to 12 months. It just came out of nowhere for our friends too.
Yeah. And also remember, there was this one conversation. I think this is very important to tell for everybody else to listen as well. So Shravan said one day, okay, let's move in a couple of months. And I was like, no, I want to go, but I don't want to go. Okay, I initiated the conversation about my parents and all that, but I was like, no, I don't want to go. I was like, we just had a baby. At that point, we just had her. It was like just a couple of months. So I said, maybe we should make some more money for her. Some more money for our daughter. And then he asked, tell me a number. And I couldn't come up with that number. I honestly couldn't come up with that number. And that was a really honest moment of realization of, I know it will sound philosophical when I talk about all this, like how much, what is the word? How much you want in life, how much you have attachment to the worldly possessions and all that. But I couldn't just come up with number. He said, yeah, we have enough for her. It's okay. I think you will never feel good enough. You'll never feel that you have enough wealth for her. So in that, our life cannot be just lost.
Yeah.
So those were his words, and that was very important for our decision. Yes, okay. And we also said this thing, like, this is not end of our life. It's not like we'll stop earning from here on. I know the earning will slow down, but it is not end of the life. Like, it is not like end of our earning era. It will be different. And we said that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think to sum it up, I think sounds to me, it's the security, the closeness to the family to be around, and to your point, I think, there is never a good time to make a decision, right? It's always, maybe we might need to have X, maybe the kid is growing up, they might be at that certain age. I mean, whatever it could be, there is always something else, but you just have to define when it's the right moment. Because every time is the right moment, or every time is not the right moment. It just depends on how we look at it, to what you have said earlier.
Every story is different, right? Each person's motivation is completely different. I had one of my friends who left to India because he just said, I'm so motivated by my father's construction business that I don't want to work here. I just want to go and join that. And he left. So every story is different. And I think this was our story. I won't extend on this one, but one last point is, we were also having some kind of career crisis, or you could say career identity, and H1B was holding up because, I mean, we are in the middle of the career and we really wanted to change things up,
get towards the management, right? And
H1. And we grew up completely in the eastern side of the USA. There are philosophies around how people are in the east versus to the west. We somehow wanted to, change the tracks, right? And H1B generally doesn't give that. So that was also motivation. What if we go back to the place where we belong, where every single company that we actually think of are probably already there in Hyderabad? So
you are not chained by your visas or by your citizenship.
So that gave a big boost for us. Yes, right. We should actually go back and start thinking of a completely different career all the restrictions that were applicable no more apply to you.
Yeah, definitely. I think the restrictions that you would have with the visa is no longer applicable, right? I mean, any of these companies could be an option, and there are a lot of several companies. With that, that is a good transition to understand maybe from a career transition, right? And also maybe you have spent a good amount of time in India, like, work before you left the US, and then maybe after you come back working in US, trying to understand the differences in terms of the work culture. That's one question. The second one is, how about the career transition? Did you transfer within your own company, both you, Tejasvi, and Shravan, or did you apply from US, or did you apply after coming to India? I think that would be a common question for a lot of people who are aspiring to come back. I think these two things would definitely shed some light for somebody who is thinking more from a career, like, opportunities, the work culture, all that. I think that would be very helpful.
That is true.
You go first.
I can go. All right. So on this one, the best advice is to think of transfer. I got a transfer, but honestly, my transfer is much more easier because it's a very smaller company. So the conversations get easier, and it just becomes okay. You're here, you want to work from there. How do we work it out, right? But I think there are a lot of companies where the Indian counterparts are there. So my best advice is to go for that option, because searching for jobs from USA to India, being on the hiring side, I myself right now do the recruitment, being on the hiring side or for the HR, it's just not easy to convince a hiring manager that this profile is across the border and you may want to
That the
interview.
person is actually moving.
Right.
Because from what we understand, I mean, it's general knowledge that companies put in a lot of effort to interview one person and provide him an offer. Already the Indian market is like one person gets an offer and then he uses that offer to negotiate with the different companies. So that is something which actually goes on the market. So in these situations, it is like very difficult for people to believe that someone who is living in another country wants to move back, wants to come and take up this job offer. So people are usually not interested to take the interviews of such people. But again, you come here, you save up for 2 to 3 months. I mean, everybody does that, 2 to 3 months, and then you can definitely find a job in those 3 months.
Yes.
And with that, coming to my job part, the company which I was working for doesn't have an Indian counterpart, and because it was a finance company, they were not interested to let me work from home. And also, it is a very difficult situation for me coming back to India, and I really wanted to take a couple of years break, given my health condition and all that. That was the postpartum and all that, after the baby and all that. So I voluntarily made a choice of not going back to a job. And also I was pursuing business at that time. So my story is a bit different, and I don't think my answer will help what exactly I did. But yeah, in the job, I voluntarily did that, and I was exploring business those 2 years.
Right.
That's great. Maybe just
Maybe
to sum it up a little bit, I think just so that it's helpful for the audience. So I think the transition between the intercompany is always the best one if it's available. If not, I think people have mentioned, I think several people, I think as what Tejasvi was mentioning earlier, people after coming back to India, they would be able to find a job within 2 to 3 months. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for somebody who has experience working in US, and that they can bring that expertise, and also the opportunities that are available in India. It is not hard to find a job opportunity in India within short period. So I know it's a little bit uncertain before the move, but I think in terms of the opportunities, in terms of your experience, there is a lot of demand for those kind of profiles in India. So I just want to underline that emphasize that particular statement about the opportunities and the possibilities of obtaining a job after moving back. With that, I think we can go back to the conversation on the work culture, or anything that you want to add on.
So just a point to round off whatever you said, right? So why is it still a very good option to come here without job and write in 2 or 3 months is the fact that you're available immediately. companies hate to wait for 60 to 90 days, which is the Indian market, right? Every person's notice period is 60 to 90 days, and companies hate to wait for them. There is no guarantee that they will join actually in reality. So when you come here and you are available as an immediate joiner with so much of wealthy experience, it's actually, it changes the tables. You would be the front runner among the applicants.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who are moving back do not know this information. Keep that in their head that, oh, I have to find a job before I come. But it's not really that scary, to be honest.
Just maybe to expand on that, maybe because you are in the Indian market, with all these opportunities, how easy is it to find a job equivalent? When I say equivalent to what they have been working, so it's not like they are downscaling, at least they can find a job opportunity to their level, to their experience, what they have been doing in US. So can you say that the opportunities are same or good? In India, like, the thing that we're talking about, it's easy to find a job within 2 to 3 months. So just wanted to confirm that, yeah, from your perspective.
So if you're working with the companies which have the business counterparts in USA, Germany, etc., and then you do it in India, some jobs may not make the cut to India, especially those which are customer facing, business centric. For example, product management. The upper levels in that department still stay close to the actual job market, whereas in India, ideally it's a development center or a center of excellence, what most of the people call them, right? So on the engineering side, it's going to be equal. That's all I can say. Again, let's not talk about salaries and all. Salaries, we know it. The usual formula is 1/3, somewhere between 1/3 to half of your US salary could be a good benchmark. But if we're looking at the same titles and all, a lot of it is similar, but there will be some changes in how the Indian dynamics work, because we don't actually serve the market. We only serve the expertise. We are the center of excellence where we build this for the product companies based on that. But then there are a lot of India level product companies serving Indian markets, or Indian businesses serving the Indian markets, all the services, right? So then I am not speaking on behalf of those companies because I work for product company, but there are plenty of opportunities which fit to your experience. That much I can say.
Got it. Yeah. Can you shed some lights or insights on the work culture, like, before moving to US and after coming back from US after, like, a decade, right? Things might have changed. So definitely it would be good to give a perspective for the audience.
I think this I'll take this one too, because Tejasvi is still searching. She's in the market right now looking for jobs. So it's been 2 years for me now, right? And only one company has exposure. So I really hope my answer fits only to the product companies. That's how it is to be seen. And again, it could be same. So one thing is, a lot of the culture probably has changed. People are a lot more proactive, and the hierarchical representation, where I don't see people feeling a little more underconfident if they are low in hierarchy compared to high in hierarchy. That is has gotten a lot better to 10 years ago, where I was when I worked in India. Again, it may be still existent in some companies, but definitely I'm not seeing in my company for sure. I can say that much. And the work-life balance is very good, at least when it comes to my type of company setup. And it's all because most of the companies these days we have this process called agile based of development, right? So then yes, that is still good. What the only problem is about how you manage your time, because you tend to serve the EST or the PST based companies in USA, or the even the European companies. So there is always this evening window in India which you somehow have to figure it out. So that challenge is something you cannot escape from, something you have to keep in your mind. If you're going to equate that to your work-life balance, then probably you would not be happy forever. So it's a business decision in your mind you have to make. Either you work in a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. company, but a lot of our Indian companies serve the US market or European market. European markets are still good, but so that part is something you have to make up your mind for sure.
Right. I want to add something. One of my colleagues said when I was working in US, he said I was just complaining about the weather in Pennsylvania, like it's very terribly cold. I don't like it and all that. So he just said that if you don't like a weather, you just change the place. You go to a different state and maybe it is for your liking. So I would say the same thing. If you don't like the timings or of any particular company,
Right.
take some time, take 6 months, 1 year, figure it out and move to a company where it is to your liking.
Yeah.
I don't think that should be something that should stop you
Absolutely.
from coming back.
But
I think the key point is more of just to keep it in the back of the mind about that meeting schedule or the company type, just people to be aware of it when they're making a decision to take a job or an opportunity with the company.
So what I observed is a lot of people unknowingly extend their hours. While you could actually manage your own calendar in a way you could do it, they unknowingly extend those evening hours and then attribute it towards work-life balance. But the things that you get in India because of all the additional help you get at home, some of your work-life balance is much better than when compared to USA, because when you go back to home in USA, you have all the household chores to work on, right? So so there are other ways that India is compensating.
Yeah, for sure. So great. Let's switch the gears a little bit. So once you have made a decision and decided to move back to India, I believe it's about 6 to 12 months time frame, and you also have a infant. Just trying to understand the logistics in terms of the physical move with the shipping, packing, selling. So it would be very helpful if you can provide any insights to the audience that gets into the details of those logistics.
Sure, Avinash. So yeah, once we made the decision, it was about 3 to 4 months. I guess 3 to 4 months we came back. So we were owning a house at that point of time. So we made a decision to sell the house instead of like renting it out. We consulted our real estate agent, and she suggested that we put in the market right away, and that was a very good time to sell the product given the COVID situation and everything. So we sold the house. We once we listed it, just got sold in like a week or so, and then during the closing process, we started selling out our stuff. So we made the stuff that we own into different buckets. The first bucket being the stuff that we are carrying back to India, and then that also had two parts. One of which is like, what do I need right away? Like, what do I need? What do I need right away from the day one? Because I was having an infant, there was a good amount of stuff that we wanted. So that was one pile. And then there's a different pile, which like I could wait for 6 months or so. Even if it arrived after 6 months, I could wait. So that was another thing. And then there was another pile where I had to just donate the stuff. And there was something which I could sell.
We sold it.
Yeah, we sold them. So once we categorized everything into these 4 categories, then we started getting into that. So the stuff which we needed, like after 6 months, we decided to ship it. I don't remember exactly which. SFL Worldwide is what we contacted, and they gave us a good quote. We contacted like 2 to 3 people, and then we went with SFL Worldwide. So we packed around 20 boxes, 20 boxes of 23 kgs each. They were regular boxes of medium size.
Large boxes.
Low or Home Depot large boxes. That is what we got. That accumulated 23 kgs, and then we packed most of stuff.
And it took exactly 6 months.
Yes, it took exactly 6 months. And everything came back in good shape. Nothing was damaged. Nothing was. We did lose one box, but that was not on the ship. But that was the ground shipping by FedEx from Pennsylvania to Texas. So that's where we lost one box out of those 20 boxes. But everything else which came in the ship, everything arrived well, and we didn't even have any customs issues. We did not ship any expensive stuff, so we did not have any customs issue. I know that is most asked question, like what happens with the customs and all that.
Stuff just came to our doorstep. We had to ship our passport for a temporary situation, ship the passport, come back to our India address, and then this is in India, by the way. Once we are in India, to the port, we ship our passport, it comes back, and then the stuff came to home.
And also there was an address change that also they accommodated well.
Okay.
Initially when we shipped out, it was first one address, and then when it arrived, it was a different address. They accommodated that also very well. So our boxes came like that, and then there were about 20 boxes again.
Yeah.
There were about 20 boxes which we carried with us in the flight. So that was a good situation to be.
This is something nobody does it. So
Yeah.
we did it in the flight, right? So 4 or 6 baggages which are covered by default, and another 10 to 14 baggages we paid extra.
So actually we traveled by
everything was
business
just fine.
class. Yeah, we traveled by business class. So I think we were given
9
3
baggages.
baggages for each person, and we were traveling with an infant. So it was like 9 baggages, 9 bags with no cost. And then we paid additionally for 11 bags as well.
Okay.
So I know the shipping cost varies and this baggage cost vary time to time. So please do check when you're making this travel.
No, it was worth it to come with 20 bags and then start your life immediately. That was worth it.
It's definitely a good one. And then also for selling the stuff, we did mostly we did like Facebook Marketplace, WhatsApp groups, and all that. That is also a question. And also, what was that other app that we used?
Nothing, that's fine.
Offer up or something. Again, this is sometimes some common questions about people how to sell.
That's it. We're going to go deeper in each of it.
Yeah.
But we sold at reasonable prices. I mean, our focus was selling early, so we sold at good prices. So people were like lining up, and it took less than 30 days to clear a home.
Yeah, that's good. So thanks for sharing. I think there is one point that I might wanted to elaborate a little bit. I think you mentioned about a decision to sell your house instead of renting it out, which is very important. I think some people also ask these questions about can we rent it out, can we sell it? So I think it's individual decision. And the other key point that I wanted to highlight there was I think you decided to sell it before your move. And then I think you rented a place, before the final move, right? So that's another important point, because people might be a little bit more stressed out if they're trying to sell the house as well as getting ready to relocate at the same time. It's a dual, sword kind of a thing. You have to pick what your preference is, whether you wanted to, be in a temporary house for a couple of months instead of stressing out towards the end, or take it as it goes. So I just want to mention that.
So it is generally easy. You can actually have the selling terms in such a way that when you make a sale, you can say, I'm going to stay in this house for another 3 months. You can do the closing. But because we had so many offers, we had to pick the best offer where we actually counter offer that, okay, we're going to make it in 1 month. So that we got the best price. And because of that, we decided to move out and rented a 1 BHK for 2 months.
But traveling, since we were with the infant at that point of time, I think that was a terrible idea to actually do that.
Yes.
We would have just negotiated to stay back in the house and then
stay for another until the travel date.
Yeah, that would have been a smarter thing to do in the hindsight.
Because
we were with an infant, and again, it was like setting up a new life for those 2 months. So it was difficult.
I think the key point there is maybe work out in a negotiation to be able to live there on a rent for a couple of months, so that you're not stressed out of selling the house and all that stuff. So yeah, that's great. Maybe switching gears a bit now. I think it's been a couple of years or more living in India. So definitely would be great to hear about your experience living in India. Like you might have certain expectations before moving. Maybe the things that you are planning to do, or things that you have concerns, apprehensions or whatever. But once you come here, things are great or things are not good. So I think it definitely would be good to share your experiences in terms of your life in India, and also anything that you miss in US. That would be very helpful.
I'll go first. I'll again come back to the infant thing, because I was with an infant. It was really great. We could hire a full-time help, a full-time nanny and a cook and everything. And I especially got a lot of time to recover from my birth, from giving birth to my child. So that was really awesome. That's something which really worked out well, I would say. And then overall, I would say the work-life balance is much better here, because after you come back to home, when you're working in US, you have everything to handle. Like you have dishes to do, you have house to clean, you have to vacuum, you have to do everything. Like there's a lot of things to do. But coming back here, I don't have to do all that chores. So that was a very big relief.
Yeah.
Really, really big relief for both of us. I would say that as a work-life balance than just coming back home and working for yourself at one more round. So that's the positive part. I'll ask Shravan to go with the positive part and then I'll come back to negative.
So for me, I don't know, we spoke before, Avinash. I said it's about the soul, right? So the last 2 years have been absolutely wonderful. I haven't thought about what life would have been in USA, nothing. So I think it was just like how when I went to US, I was all in the air, in the cloud nine, right? So I think it's the exact same experience what I've been having. I've been missing US as such. Probably, if we really have to pick some pointers, maybe the road travel, I'm not yet there. But again, I have a toddler, right? So the road travel
Right.
or
Beautiful
or
landscapes.
parks, just in
Parks
the
and
weekends.
landscapes. Once you get out of the house, the
Yeah,
landscapes
so
are like so awesome and
I
nice.
mean, India will get there someday. I mean, we have roads being laid out every single day. All
The
over
weekend
country,
trips. So there are two things that we miss. The one is travel and the landscapes, and the second one is our friends.
Friends.
That was really, I lived like for a good amount of time. I did my masters and I was living in the same place.
Yes.
So I had a very good social circle. So I definitely missed that part.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes time to build new friends. I
Right.
mean, you're at a second half of your life,
Right,
and
where it is difficult to make friends.
So it takes time.
Right. So that was one part.
It's a big one, to be honest. You have to be very clear about what it is,
Yeah.
what it means to you.
And I actually have to mention about this, the positive part of coming back. It's how, as Shravan mentioned earlier, our soul lives here. We thrive here. That is the word I want to use. We thrive here in this environment. So all the social events that we have here, all the festivals, the festivities, how we do celebrate. I literally go gaga over everything. That I'm that kind of person. I really enjoy. I derive energy from being around people. So that is something I've been enjoying a lot, and being close to family, like being there. If I have a fever, I have my mother coming to me.
Absolutely.
That is something which is really beautiful, which I really miss.
Okay.
I'm definitely a pampered child, so I enjoy all that, living close to the family
and being close to your fellow country members. I mean, the way you go about when you step out, it's now completely different. It's not that we cannot be as comfortable in USA. We are pretty comfortable, but that's a completely different style. And here, when you step out, speak to people, wherever you are, even when you're in a petrol bunk or in a restaurant or back here in the gated community, the way you socialize, it just frees up your soul.
Definitely. I mean, I think, you can't find US in India or India in US. I mean, it's a different places, different countries. It's what you personally want to do, right? I think, for me personally, I think you just move here and you don't think about US, in the sense like it never occurred. You can't like compare things, right? I mean, then you're setting yourself to something else. I mean, you decided to move to a place and there is a reason for that, and then you just go with the flow. I think if you have something in the back of the mind, there is always a reason for comparison and for disappointment.
Just think about it, right? So when you left the US, you just went with 2 bags. And when we came back with 40 bags. And when you did not think too much, when you went there, I understand that's a advanced country and all, but you went with very least apprehensions. So when we are coming back, one of the things we have to ask is that are you going to have same
are we determined to make it work? Because as Shravan said, we never thought like, is this going to work? Is this how it is going to be?
Right.
That's how we all.
So if you have a lot of apprehensions, probably you should not. But if you have very less apprehensions, then you are well on the way to actually come back.
And also something that helped in our case to not think about US and how life was supposed to be there. I think we did not set our foot on 2 different boats. We were on one boat. So we had no intention of going back. We did not keep our house, or we did not keep the options to go back open. We were on H1Bs, which were open, but we weren't waiting for the green card or anything or the other. We were like, we are going back. Maybe we'll try and go back. We did not have that attitude. We were like, hook or crook will make this work. That's how
it may not fit to everyone's will. Somebody else's lens, it may be stupid, but we were like, we're going back. We're done with US. That's it.
Yeah, so determined, and that makes it, the transition much smoother. So I know we kind of touched several topics. I know just to be mindful of the time, are there any topics that we haven't covered or anything that you would like to advise our audience, who are thinking about or aspirating about moving back to India? I think that would be very helpful.
Sure. There are two things when I talk to my other friends who are still living in US. There are two things which people like question themselves a lot about. The first thing is how advanced is India, and they just imagine that how India is, how Hyderabad is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when they left the country, how it was. So the first thing is we were all very young and naive when we left the country. We were like what 21, 22, 23. We were so young when we left for our masters and so they haven't actually seen the adult as an adult how India looks like. So they still think that weak they could be when they come back to the country, but no, that is not the case. And also infrastructure wise, like you take in every aspect, we have made a lot of progress. That sometimes I feel like US is backward in some cases. In some cases, definitely. Like I still have to use my card when I go out and all such cases. The life here is like far more comfortable than how it was 10 years, 15 years ago. So everything, I feel I'm very pampered here and everything. So that was one thing people, have that they're not seeing the right picture. They're not seeing the right picture until they come and live here. And also the fact that people used to live in different colonies and all that. So that scenario, the housing scenario has changed a lot. We all are living in gated communities, apartments or villa communities, gated communities. The scene has like it's
never been
totally different. The housing in India, in Hyderabad, is like lot better than what it was in US. We hardly had a swimming pool and a little play area in our home in US, but now we have like lots of different amenities and
clubhouse.
clubhouse and different communities, and the number of people my daughter gets to play with, interact with, that is all really beautiful. So that is something many people don't know about how it is going on here. So that was the first thing that I wanted to talk about. And the second thing is about many, especially women, they are just scared to come back because they don't want to live with in-laws. They don't want to face the family complications
or even societal backwardness.
Yeah, societal backwardness, everything. That situation, that scenario has also changed a lot. There are like so many cafes, there are so many places. I see women dressing up to their will, and like I have seen, like when I was young,
bat an eye.
they don't bat an eye.
Everybody is at their own freedom.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what's the gender. People actually don't even stare
or give those weird looks.
No.
That is not happening anymore. I mean, again, it might depend on the place that you're going. If you're going to a Charminar area, it will be a very different thing. But again, there is like a very big city. This city has like expanded so much, and there are like so many places you'll be comfortable just being yourself. And then the in-law situation also, I would give a word of encouragement. There's always a choice you can make. There is always boundaries that you can set. And also, I believe this has happened to many people that I have known. That people, since parents have anyways used to living alone, they're also not preferring to live as a joint family. They're like, you are a family, you live, and then we live with ourselves. We meet on occasions, and then we'll be happy. That might work out for your family situation also. Think about it. I mean,
they would be happy to have you in the same city somewhere 1 hour ago, 1 hour away, than like 8,000 miles away, right? So, I mean, we speak to a lot of parents here in our community whose kids are in US, and they say, I would love to have them here,
but not in my house. They say, yeah, I would like to have them, not in my house.
They're okay, even if they don't live together. They'll be happy to have them in and around.
So we don't know how that is going to work. So just talk to your family, figure out.
There are options. Absolutely. All right. So then my one, so that was Tejasvi, and this is my version of to a lot of people, because I use this thing for pretty much everybody and works out really well. So I want this to be heard by whoever watches it, even if it's 500 people. When we went to USA, we moved to USA or UK, Australia. We moved to there because we don't know about that country. If you are somebody who lived for more than 10 years or so, if you're moving to India, this is my advice. In your head, just think about it because it's completely different. Moving back to India versus move to India. Just think that you're moving to a new country, just that you're a citizen of that country. It changes a lot. It brings a lot of humility inside you. You would start seeing it as a branding until you become a local, right? It could take 1, 2, 3 years, but the way you would start seeing it is you'll be preparing for a relocation, a move, but not a move back. The problem with move back is everybody starts painting that 10, 15-year-old picture and probably change it a little bit with things that have changed, etc. But that's not it. I mean, you would be astonished to see how much of change has happened. I mean, the India that you left 10, 15 years ago has moved on, just like you. And you shouldn't be thinking about how India was. Leave all that nostalgia and just come back. I mean, sorry, just move to India with that kind of insight. And just like that was land of opportunities, maybe do this as also as a land of opportunities. Come in that sense. That's one. And and the other aspect where it helps is by moving to India, you would give yourself a lot of time. You would not have any kind of negative expectations or premature assumptions. You would just be free of all of it and start growing into the new India. And even the people who have been living here,
Yeah.
they have moved on. They have grown into a new culture which you are not exposed to. You have no idea what
Right,
kind of
right.
culture they're into, whether it is the old age people or our parents or even our cousins or younger one. They are into different cultures of their own which evolved over these 10, 15, 20 years, and you have no idea. You will get time. You have to take a lot of time to get it. So this India is completely different than what you just keep it in mind. So that's my number one advice to anybody. Don't move back. Never move back to India. Move to India.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, especially these are some of the common apprehensions, right? The family dynamics, in terms of society, how they perceive things, and also like how developed it is and how people has evolved. I mean, these are all the key things that people apprehend, and it's good to hear from people who have been living here and, sharing their opinions and sharing those thoughts. I think that would definitely be very helpful. Now, moving on to the final segment, the rapid four. The first question is, what's your favorite Indian food?
Wrong question to Hyderabadi. So I think we'll have to skip biryani and halim for that. So we have to skip those two. So you want to go?
No, that would be
Yeah.
That's
anything
it.
different.
So yeah, I'm sorry, we cannot think beyond those two for sure.
Yes, that's great. I mean, that's just famous for Hyderabad, so you can't miss that. What's the biggest surprise that you had after moving to India?
Life in gated communities.
Hmm.
I mean, we thought this is all going to be good and all, but we didn't know that this is going to be so much packaged that your life is going. I mean, everything is so well curated for every day.
I
So,
feel like life has gotten like much easier. I
Yeah.
get everything like delivered to my doorstep,
yeah,
and like it is like the community living is like really great. Just this morning, I needed a printout and my printer is not working. I just had to leave a message in the WhatsApp group. There are 5 to 6 replies to it that I can help you, I can help you. That's the situation. That's the scenario with everything that you ask help for something, you ask for references, they are just right there. So
Yeah.
that is so welcoming.
Yeah.
That is so welcoming. Especially you don't know the area, you don't know who are good doctors, which schools do I put my daughter into, and all these kind of situations. Like
And
even smallest thing like getting a printout to a big decision. This community living is great.
the networking is crazy good.
Yeah.
I would say gated communities is in this order. Best for the kids. Number one, for the kids, you cannot ask for more. Second is for our parents, whoever is in the old age, because they are enjoying. I mean, they have a gang for themselves, WhatsApp groups for themselves. They
Yeah,
go around
they go around,
entire
they take
India. They
trips.
just have their
Yeah.
own life. And finally, it's for us. So for our generation, I guess then what makes it easy, right? Your kids are happy, your parents are happy, and you can just focus on your own life. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, you get your things get done. You can hire maids if you want to spend money. You can hire maids for everything. and just get it done. I feel like life is like so easier. My mom lives on the other part of the city, and I need something, I just pay for the Rapido and it just comes to me in an hour or so. So
Okay, so that's the other
that's
part, right? The
another
surprise is
beautiful
the,
thing. Yeah.
all those app-based deliveries and
Deliveries
instant
and
apps.
everything.
Yeah, like the services is just amazing.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
And you know
You
what
don't have to stick the foot out to get the things done.
Correct.
Like
Yeah.
you can like you
I mean, one of the days I was traveling to airport and I had the car keys with me, and she called me. Oh, the car keys with you. I stopped the cab midway, hired a Rapido, gave the keys and sent it back to home, and I went to the airport. I mean,
And on the same day, he did not have cash to pay the cab driver, and he just called me and he said, "Can you do a Google Pay on this number? Somehow the internet isn't working here," and I like did it. So that was like one beautiful day that sums up how advanced we are.
Too advanced, absolutely. I mean, all these options out of nowhere when you have no plan yet you can fix it in a minute. These are crazy situations. Something
absolutely.
unheard of in USA.
I had a friend who went to Dubai. Okay, fine.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So I just want to be mindful of people like listening to this.
Sure. We must meet him.
And then the third question is your favorite travel destination in India.
No, they have one.
It has to be Goa.
Yeah, I mean,
We
Goa.
have traveled a lot to be honest. So Goa is where we went to, and I think it's good.
We loved there, but I think we are piling up a list, and we have a toddler, so we're piling up a nice list, maybe for another day. So we
That's
don't have
right.
a favorite one yet. Yeah.
And the last thing is the best thing of living in India. I mean, you have to pick. I know there are so many things that you have already. I just need
So
to pick.
difficult to pick. Yeah, I'll let you pick.
The best thing of living in India, I think living in India. I mean, citizenship.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who understands what I just said, that's it. Citizenship.
Belongingness.
The belongingness, the citizenship, the fact that you're not an outsider, you're not reminded in any way that you're an outsider. There's nothing. And one of the days we got a business opportunity, and next day we decided, like, well, we go for it. We didn't think about H1B, none of it, right? So that sense of freedom is just amazing.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. I think those are all the questions I have. Once again, thank you very much for taking the time and sharing your story. It's a lot of details, a lot of valuable nuggets there. So thanks a lot, and wish you all the best. With all the next steps in living in India, and take care.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you for having us.
Yes, and you're doing a great job. I think you should not stop this. Every video will be absolute gold. It doesn't matter how many people view it, but the number of people who view it, it matters for every single person. We ran across one such video, which was not as curated as this, but it helped us a lot. It helped us with a lot of perception. And I'm really hopeful that whatever we spoke out of our own candid responses, I hope it helps somebody out there, and we are happy to be even reached out to. We are available on all those little WhatsApp groups, so always ready to help.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I think it's not more than the views; it's the quality, right? I think even if it helps like one or two people, I think that just makes a difference. So I think the goal here is to people can relate to the stories, and then they can see the similar path of somebody who might have gone through that before. So with that, I mean, again, we have a new episode every week, so stay tuned, and thanks and take care.
Keep doing that. Thanks, Avinash.
Bye.
Keep doing a good job. Bye.
Thank you all for joining us on this insightful journey of Desi Return. If you enjoyed this episode and want to explore more stories and expert advice, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts and experiences. By the way, check out the links in the description below for our Facebook group and social media for updates and engaging discussions, as well as connecting with fellow Desi Returners. Thank you once again, and until next time, may your Desi Return journey be filled with joy, growth, and endless possibilities.